When we're looking to release ourselves from the past, it can be really helpful to understand how we got to where we are. There are many things we can look at: our experiences, our beliefs, our family of origin, and there are lots of questions that we can ask to tease out why we are the way we are and what matters most to us. And I want to share with you one key question that can really help to break this all apart for you, reveal huge amounts about ourselves, and start to weaken the hold of the past on us. I'm Nicola, and my passion is helping parents and not yet parents release their stuff so they can break the cycle and not pass their stuff on to their kids. And I've been finding ways to break my patterns of pain for over 25 years. So this most important question is, who did I have to be to win the approval of my parents? But what does that even mean? Let's dig into it a bit more. So as young children, we're in a deep stage of learning. We are adapting who we are and our behaviours to match the rules of our family of origin. And initially, our first priority is survival. We do whatever we have to do to connect with our caregivers so that they give us what we need to survive and thrive. And then once we've mastered that, we then move on to following the things that feel good, or at least feel the best as possible. So we learn things like, what do I have to do to be safe, to be liked, to be praised, to be accepted? And we also take in, what is it about me that's not acceptable? What parts of me are too loud or too silly or too creative, too energetic or too curious or just too anything? What is it about me that is not okay and not accepted in this environment? And we're so young at this age. We're learning what it means to be a human being. We basically are taking everything in from everything around us. We're not thinking about the long-term impact of our choices. We're just soaking it all up. We're so reliant on the adults around us. We just take everything in, soaking it up like a sponge. We basically have no boundaries, and we're just taking it all in without regard to the potential impact on us down the track. And if you still struggle with setting boundaries, I've got a step-by-step guide to help you set and maintain healthy boundaries. In an ideal world, we move from being this young child into adolescence, where we get to expand, we get to explore, we get to try new identities, we get to push boundaries and take risks. We figure out who we are and what matters to us. And that then leads us into adulthood, knowing who we are and ready to take charge of our lives. But unfortunately, when we grow up in a dysfunctional family, that's not what happens. We don't have the space to explore, to learn, to figure out who we are and to what matters to us. Instead, we learn to adapt who we are or to hide who we are, because that's what's safe and that's what's acceptable, to fit within those rules. And then as an adult, we move into the world lacking a clear sense of self. We don't know who we are or what we want. And we end up still being shaped and molded and pushed around by society, living by those rules instead of what matters most to us. And we can find ourselves halfway through our lives saying, how the heck did I even get here? And the worst part of this is that we're living with this lost sense of self, a disconnection from ourselves. And I believe that everyone is born into the world with gifts to share with the people around them, big or small. But when we're disconnected from who we really are, those gifts are hidden and lost to ourselves and to everyone around us. And that's a crying shame. So how do we free ourselves from these rules that we've picked up as a child, from our past, from our family of origin? Well, it starts by asking variations of that key question. Things like, what did I have to do to please my mother? Or what did I have to do to avoid upsetting my father? Or vice versa. And it doesn't just have to be our parents. They are our primary caregivers, and we take a lot of our cues from them. But it can be siblings, it can be grandparents, it can be primary caregivers of any kind. The adults around us are the ones who send us those cues and teach us those rules that we just take in unthinkingly. And so the idea is that we look at these rules, we bring them to light by asking these questions so that we can decide, do we actually like these rules? Are these rules we want to keep? Do we want to adapt them, or do we want to throw them out entirely? So a story from my past was that as a child, I learned that it wasn't safe to sit still. I learned that if I sat down to rest, I'd be given something to do, a chore, and usually something I didn't want to do. So I learned very quickly to stay busy in some way. So I would be productive and either be safe from being given something else to do, or safe from scrutiny, or just left alone. And so that taught me to be a busyholic. And that's a habit I've had to unpick over the years, because for me, rest and work are out of balance. It's something I've had to relearn how to do, how to actually stop and feel safe stopping. And so that's a rule that I learned from my childhood that I've had to unlearn as an adult in order to actually really connect with who I am and be in my best possible state. So the idea with asking these questions is to really bring these kinds of rules to the surface. What rules are we living by? So that we can examine them closely and release them if necessary and free ourselves from the past. Because these questions about what we had to do to satisfy our caregivers can be fundamental in understanding why we are the way we are. And if you'd like some more help digging this stuff out and unearthing this, I've got a guide with over 100 journaling prompts that you can work through, that you can write about some of these questions that seem relevant to help you dig up these rules that you're living your life by right now that may not be serving you. And if you'd like to dig in more into my process for uncovering your stuff using my CRUD process, watch this video next. And I'll see you in the next one.